Swing big and save even bigger with our Big League Markdowns at Capital Ford in Santa Fe. This is your shot at big league deals, like a new 2025 Ford F-150 XLT 4-wheel drive Power Boost Hybrid, now up to $9,900 off MSRP, or a new 2026 Ford F-250 Super Duty, now up to $6,100 off MSRP. We're offering up home run deals all day, every day, with these Big League Markdowns at Capital Ford in Santa Fe.
Who says time travel isn't possible? That you can't go back 400 years in a single afternoon to a place where free spirits still run free, where things made by hand make memories, where a getaway feels like you're getting a world away. There are so many things that make this city different, and so much more waiting to be uncovered.
And we are back. Santa Fe Gloom live stream, back-to-back nights with a special guest and one of my really good friends, JP. JP, welcome back to the Santa Fe live stream.
Brother, I'm always honored to be in your presence, to be on the live stream. Second time doing it. I've been friends with you for years now, and just to be in your presence, to see what you're doing, what you're working on is always amazing to me. You're a big hero to me on my end.
Yeah, for sure. Same here, JP. We've probably covered this in our last podcast, but I kind of forget where we met. I don't know if it was 40 Under 40.
No, it was before 40 Under 40 because you had reached out to me, I think at YouthWorks. To cater. We were talking about catering, and we ended up meeting up and having a coffee at a Starbucks, right? It's like these funny moments when we think like epiphanies happen, like, oh, well, you click with somebody and you think that it has to be this grand thing. Nah, man, it all started over a cup of coffee at Starbucks, and I was like, I felt that I could work with you for a long time, hearing your goals, your visions, what I was going, and the trajectory of where I was going. And here we are years later,
That's
strong,
right. Yeah, for sure. And for our fans and audience and our players, JP, you've been out to many of our games, at Santa Fe High, the Chavez Center, your wife included, I think your kiddos too. So, you're in there in the trenches cheering us on. So we really appreciate that. So thank you.
I wholeheartedly believe in that. And, one thing I'll say about Gloom, and I know we got to get into our conversation, is nobody sees the background of Gloom, right? The sweat and tears that you have to put in, all the logistics that you have to do. Showing up to the game was like one part, seeing what you're actually doing as a Gloom creator, right? Like what you're putting together, the lifestyle Santa Fe, that's the beautiful part that like people don't get to see. They only get to see what's on stage. The the back production, they don't get to see it. And it's magical. It really is magical and life-changing,
For sure. No, I appreciate that. It's a lot of work. We have a team. It's not only just, like our Gloom players, but it's, our merch, even my parents help and come in, just organizing things. It's a whole beast in itself.
And I don't think that people even realize what it takes to get a community center, the hard work you have to do just to rent a space, whether you call it, whether it's the Santa Fe Public Schools. And there's no discrediting anybody. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying the schools, they have their own approach of how they do it. The city, when we're at the, Chavez Center, and it's always constantly shifting and changing these relationships. But the hardship just to schedule out your year is a feat, bro. And we can get into some more of that later. But, I just commend you for the amount of energy you put into something, and people think, well, Dave's got it all together. He's got this merchandise. He's got this live. He's got these things. You're 100% right. He does, because those are the dream. But has anybody ever asked Dave, how much does Dave sacrifice out of his own money, like his own family stuff, right? That could be invested into himself, that you invest into the community, right? Like this intention. And when we talk about money as being part of the prayer, Dave, like I've seen you step up, whether it was under 40, whether it was in different spaces, and be like, I'll cover that for the community. I'll cover those flights for my team, to actually just get there to go and experience. You could say like, well, we're not going to cover it. We don't have the sponsor and we're not sending nobody. But I just want to salute you on that, because you are the leader, that you set the pace for the rest of us to say, that's the kind of leader I want to be like.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, JP. And I also think this too, like we're also, I mean, there's a handful of other people in this community that you and I reach out to for advice and for guidance, who have also, made the trail for us too. So we're definitely just part of many, many pieces in the community to make all of this work. So, no, I appreciate all those words. Tell our fans, our viewers, about the Back to School Bash.
So
Saturday, 2 to 9, Swan Park, Southside. Tell us about it.
What happened was a year and a half ago, my wife, this is our second one. My wife, Gina, and Pilar Eli, all of us are sitting there. We're talking, Counselor Garcia and Faulkner. We're all talking, and she's like, we should do something for school. And Pilar's like, yeah, let's do a school event. And then so we named it Back to School, right? In our first year, we get 1,800, 2,500 people. We just kind of threw it together loosely, right? Like, I didn't think we'd get that many people, but we got them. And I was like, cool, this is great. Let's refine it. So this year, what we really wanted to do was focus on how we approach community. One of the things we did was we wanted to really separate the idea of division that's happened so much in our community with 501Cs, with different views of community, right? We all have different views. And we get into these tit for tats because things hurt. Those little cuts hurt each other. And, sometimes we don't catch ourselves in that. And like, I'll say Gloom, when you're running the event, people don't get to grab Dave right there and be like, hey, I need to talk to you, because you're busy, you're running it. And, we have Ray, like we'll just use him, not all of us have a day named after us, Ray. But, he's still my buddy, and we're talking, right?
And for our viewers and fans, JP, I'm assuming you're referencing Ray Sandoval.
Yes, sir.
And
yes, sir.
Ray runs, he's the chairman of Zozobra, I think is his title, I believe.
Yes, sir.
And Ray's been on our show, and a good friend of ours too.
Yeah, so Ray sits with me on the Governor's Council for the Citizens of Santa Fe. I'm just giving him a hard time about his day. But when he's throwing 4th of July, when he's throwing Zozobra, the Gritos on the Plaza, Day of the Dead, these events, you can just, like, he's not tangible because he's so busy, immersed, presenting, that he can't focus on meeting community, right? Nor can you. And that goes for everyone. Girls Inc., Kim really puts her heart and soul into it. And there's many more. Vital Spaces, we have Rashawn, all them. You have Gerard's House, you have Maggie and them. And when they're doing that work, they're real focused. So, it's hard. In this Back to School, what I wanted to really see out of it is for us to support our kids and our families from every community. So when we were inviting individuals, whether they wanted just a booth or an activity, really we said no to nobody. We said no to nobody because we wanted everybody. We have the Don Diego de Vargas and his court coming. I have the bagpipes from the fire department coming, right? They're going to set the ceremony. I have the car show coming. I have the National Guard putting out a 80-foot obstacle course. We have kid games. We have soccer going, right? You'll be there. We have other soccer too. And this is what we're talking about. Everybody plays a role towards the same people. You know, the people that I'm serving in one aspect are the same people going to your game, and you're serving in a different aspect. I'm just seeing them at your game. So they're just changing masks. And if we don't have a relationship where we're working on just community, then we're missing something. And so this event, having this, right? Girls Inc. is going to put on their show tomorrow. They have a whole lineup. We have Lenzik 360 coming in for Cumbia in the park right after. We have what else do we have? Sam's and Albertsons giving us food to give back. But even though they're giving us food, right? We have the Food Depot giving out boxes of food to families who need it. We also have David Sundberg's, right? So you have, do you know Dave?
Yeah.
Dave is the Southside Farmers Market wizard and genius, right?
Yeah,
he's a
cool,
good
man.
dude.
Yep.
Cool dude.
Yep.
He got, and here's the thing. He got a donor, and I'm not going to say which city councilor gave him $1,000 out of their own pocket to buy the food so that Dave could give it away. It's not getting charged for. And Dave went and he told his other donors, well, if a city councilor gave me the money, right, can you match it? He bought 4,000 pounds of food, fresh vegetables from New Mexicans, from local farmers to give out to the community at no cost, bro. At no cost. And, you have Rashad and them coming in from Vital Spaces, working with Gerard's house and putting programming together, right? So getting back to schools, a lot of things. We talk about backpacks, right? We got those coming. We got state employees, all them. We got partners in education with Sarah and everybody. But we also don't talk about, like, those are physical things. You need the physical supplies. You need a haircut. That's going to be there too. You're going to get free haircuts. The thing we're not talking about that's not tangible is mental health and wellness, right? So having Gerard's house there, having these other groups there where services are free. They're not charged, bro. But maybe somebody doesn't know about those services, has the opportunity to think like, hey, there are some issues that we don't talk about, and I can't turn to Dave because he's running soccer and he doesn't know about it, or JP doesn't know about it. But here's a group that does know about it, and getting those things taken care of inside the family. So then after these, those are just the lineup list of some of the vendors and people. And if I missed you, I'm sorry. Like, it's not with intention, right? You're going to have Urban Alchemy there. You're going to have Interfaith there. Hey, you're going to have Consuelos there. All three in the same place doing the same thing. And it's not about fighting. It's about serving a community. And that's what I think is missing in some spaces, right? And we're going to have, Corina Lopez there too. She'll be there. But what I'm also saying with this is, after the bash, I thought, well, dang, the days are done. Like, the one event is done. It's like a Band-Aid, right? We're hoping that it fixes some part of the preventive care and the help, and takes some stress off of our community. And it's not just a Southside thing anymore. This is a full community across Santa Fe event, right? We even have the county in on it. And Chanel Delgado and Lisa Cacarizon and Camila Bustamante and everybody for supporting us. Thank you, commissioners, and these great people. But here's the thing. When we went to donors, well, I'm a bank robber, bro, so I can't ask for money, right? I don't want to be like, hey, can you give me the money? They're going to be like, JP. So I said, listen, can we just ask for you to sponsor a kid? Can you sponsor a kid to do classes, 6 months of classes? And you had Zydeco come out and they said, we'll buy the drums and sponsor the 6 months. So 12 kids will actually take the drumming lessons with a professional for 6 months, bro, and get the instrument. We have karate doing that. We have fencing doing that. We have soccer doing that. We have tennis doing that. We have, Kempo 5.0. Tony Potter, he was glad to help some kids. Good man right there.
I want his kiddos to come out and do some type of like halftime performance for us or something. Yeah, he's great.
He'll be there tomorrow. And the cool thing about this event is you're only taking care of your little square. You're only taking care of your square. So people can approach Ray. They can approach David now. They can approach Tony now. Those connections of like where Dave wants a halftime show, he just walks across because he's not running the event. Right. It all falls on JP, the counselors, and our organizers from the Latino Small Business Association and the Toy Drive to complete our function, and our function is to make the space so that you guys can function and not have the pressure, but mingle and be with community and with other directors. So, to see everybody in that space, that's what this is about, is pure community.
Yeah. Is there anything similar to this, JP? Or do you think this is probably one of like the trailblazing
No,
programs?
I don't think they're similar, because we're even I'll bring out a point, and I'm not shooting anybody else. This isn't a competition of better or worse.
Yeah.
I
have a follow-up question, JP. But
okay, Santa Fe Valet. There's a guy, Paul, coolest dude ever. Part of Santa Fe Valet, runs the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say, Paul, man, can you send the people to the Posada? I need a bus. Here you go, JP. No questions asked, bro. He gave me a bus. So you ask, what people am I taking if I'm asking for a bus, right?
Right.
Consuelo's place. We talk about fixing homelessness, bro. And we go to these, mayoral functions and government functions and county functions, and that's cool. I'm not disrespecting nobody on their thing. We talk about them while they're over there, not while we bring them right here. This is an event where this will be my second back to school and my third posada. We're talking 5 events, and there's never been a year that I have ever left them out to being part of it. They get bussed in. So they're coming tomorrow, they get bussed in, and they get taken home. And they get treated with the same dignity and respect as any other community member, bro. And so it's pioneering the way that we rehumanize and how we accept people in our space. And it's not that JP owns the space. No, I'm resetting the rules to calibrate to say everybody could be in the same space. If you choose not to, that's a choice you make, There's some groups I would have loved to be a part of it. I would have loved for YouthWorks to join. Unfortunately, they couldn't. I would have loved for Somos Unidos to be a part of it. I would have loved for Chain Breakers to be a part of it. Maybe next year, as it grows, we can look at those things. But there's other organizations that you may not see there. And there's some that you will know and see there. And there'll be some up and coming new ones. But as it grows, I think we're going to need a bigger park. And that will get us into talking about community space, right? On the south side.
Needs a bigger park.
Well, we need it all the way around. We need bigger gathering space because right now we don't have soccer stadiums that are guaranteed indoor soccer. Mm-hmm. We don't have it. Like, it doesn't exist. It's a dream we're working towards. Right. Me and you have had many conversations about that, and things are still in the works, right? On both ends, and people say, why is JP in a soccer thing? No, I'm supporting my brother. He's in the soccer thing. I'm not stepping on his toes. I'm supporting him and helping him in his dream as he would in mine. And it's a need for our community that would make things simpler. Yes, we want more people at GCC and those other spaces, but you're also competing with girls volleyball to get in there and so many other sports. Yep. And not that I'm shooting those things. I'm just saying we have so many sports going on that soccer has to get pushed, because a lot of schools need that gymnasium space, and we're not trying to take it from the kids either. So if we had a soccer space, if we had a community gathering space on the south side, because we have the library, but it gets so booked. There's 29,000 people living on the south side. 86% of the youth in Santa Fe live on the south side of the city, which will in 5-10 years not be the south side anymore. It'll be Midtown as we grow out to 599 and spill over. It's already happening. As we go to Highway 14, it's already happening. So detrimental things is what is community space, and this park is great. It's a beautiful amenity, and as phase 2 and phase 3 of Swan come out, things will transition and change. But right now in the winter, we don't have a gathering space. If we needed it, we could figure things out. The county and the city are graciously great to work with us all the time, but it would be beautiful if we just had space for each other, and that's the next thing coming up, is how do we bring long-term systemic space for all community members, like a community center, and not ran by the city. I know the GCC is doing great, but a community center that has a mercado, that has a gathering hall, that could have serve as an emergency shelter, as a soccer space, as a theater space, as an event space. We don't have a event space right now. Are there some coming in the works? Possibly, but not on this side of the city right now. So as we talk about those spaces, I think everybody deserves some. We have Earth Care out here. We have you. You're always out on the south side, even though like you're on every side of the city. But your team needs the space, and others on this side of the city. And Girls Inc. too. Like you got Sarah from Boys and Girls Club, right? When you have Sarah Gidler there, she's growing at a maximum capacity, and she's holding the majority of our youth, bro. Yeah. And let me tell you about Sarah, bro. She is a rock star, a great person to work with. She runs a tight ship and takes very good care of our kids. But that brings us into they also need a bigger space, that we could share. They do work with the teen center and other spaces, and she's such a great woman and leader, right? That we talk about. But that just brings me up to the building of where do we get more space?
Yeah, JP, all very well said. So before we jumped live, I was halfway joking and saying, I can't wait for the day that you and I have some type of not disagreement, but we see a perspective in a different way. I don't know if we have or haven't, but we usually align, and then we think kind of differently to some extent. But tell our audience, how, the Back to School Bash tomorrow is going to promote so many great things for kiddos in the community. And I think it's going to also hold as a saving place and a reminder when we do have disagreements to come back to these types of values. So share your perspective on that, because I've heard it before, but I just think that it's a really good compass to have, because, even I think it was this Wednesday, at city councilor meetings, obviously counselors have their own perspectives, and some city members say, yeah, we should close, that downtown corridor, etc. Right. But how do we always come back and seek our values to make decisions and have disagreement and come back?
And I'll shoot one thing on the counselors. I'm not going to say what I would have voted. I like the plaza, no? But I'm going to keep it to myself. But I found it interesting that the two counselors that voted against it, which was Lee and Pilar, right? They're the counselors that live farthest from the plaza. It was just funny.
I don't know this. I think I heard this. But I also think Michael mentioned that he was going to vote against it too. I think.
If it was a tie. And I just found it interesting in perspective, you live the farthest away, but you have this idea and view, right? And so I'll give you some examples. Me and you, I don't think there's ever been a time between us where I felt like I questioned a decision, but there has been with others, right? Me and Miguel, he's Earth Care, and me and him, we have our private conversations, and I won't bring up what those disagreements are because they're not really a fight. They're just a difference in opinion, right? And he'll say, hey, brother, we're going to do this. And I'll say, I don't believe in that, brother. I'm going to do this, right? And he says, I guess I'll see you there. And he says this joke, right? And he goes, but do you have time for coffee next week? And that right there, right, really sets the pace for how we approach it. Because we're not doing it out of anger and animosity. He just has a different view of how he wants to approach a specific in a community. And I may have a different view. But the thing is, it's not about JP, right? And we talk about numbers. And I had somebody tell me, well, I have 700, 800 people behind me. And I said, okay, but I understand that. And we all do. We all have a following, right? We're all trying to make this vision. But it's not about me. It's nothing about me. It's all about I think I'm my hardest critic. Am I doing the best thing for the community? And when I don't know, you're somebody I call and I bounce it off. Dave, is this a personal thing I'm doing here? Am I taking it personal or do I redirect? Because friendships and relationships, that's what this is about. Any title, bro, whether you call him director, whether you call him CEO, whether you call him son, whether you call him brother, whether you call him mom, whether you call him dad, right? These are all human titles. Nobody likes to get played regardless of the title. Nobody likes to get played. So as a human, we need to look at like how do we work through disagreements and still share space. Like nothing happened where we burned a bridge where you can't be friends anymore, bro. Like it's not that drastic in that sense, even though a lot of what we're doing is emergency work. We do, like, Corina does a lot of emergency work, Michelle does a lot of emergency work, Interfaith does it too, and Urban Alchemy does too. But they need to find a way to work together to serve the people they're doing the emergency for, right? And they have, for the most part, there's tension back and forth, and we've seen it all. We've watched the soap opera from the beginning, and we're in the middle of it. But they're finding this common ground, and they're putting these things aside to really focus on what is important, which is that specific group that they're serving, right? In this event, we're serving youth and we're remembering. I think that we forget, like, as we're working away, we take things personal, or we look at them and we say, hey, well, that wasn't fair or equal. And we need to relook at it and be like, well, let's see if we can sit at the table, come up with some decisions together. And if we don't agree, we can agree to disagree. But it doesn't mean I'm against you, bro.
That's right.
I'm not against anybody. And somebody pointed something out to me the other day, bro. And this I really wanted to hit on. My man Hodge. He tells me, because I told him, well, I find a way, I figure it out, or I'll push, or I'll fight it through, I'll make a way. That's what I said, is I'll make a way. And he sat there for a while and he said, yo, my man, can I give you some perspective in your conversation? He reminded me of my own violence in my words. He says, everything you're talking about is a fight forward, not you working with the universe and you're getting blessings to go through and you're walking through the windows. And so I thought about it and I'm like, yeah, it just seems like my words are saying I'm fighting, but I'm not really fighting. I'm actually doing the opposite. And I need to be mindful of the words that I use, and others need to be mindful of those words that we use to each other, because there is such a thing as like subtle violence in those. And if we can remember just to be brothers and sisters, yep, I think we can hold it together.
Yeah, like JP, as you know, when I call you, man, I'm like, hey, what's up? And you're like, oh, I'm just going everywhere, 100 miles per hour. And I'm the same way, for sure. So I think the next topic I would like you to touch on is, like, how do we slow down? And there's value in that. I feel like, I don't know if I've experienced it very much, but how do you have that, your feet on the ground, just allow it to kind of come in, let it flow in, and just have some grace, rather than sometimes, but sometimes it's necessary. You got to push. You got to sometimes, you got to knock on that door and the door's not opening. Then you got to kind of peek around. And sometimes you got to really just open that door. But sometimes you just drink some lemonade and then eventually that door just opens.
I have some problems with that. I love to be a workaholic, right? I love it. And that's my own personal thing that I like. I'll call you at 10 o'clock at night, like, Dave, what's up? We got to work on this thing. You're like, it's bedtime. No, you're working too.
I'll probably miss your call because I'm still kind of thinking of something.
Yep, you're working. Like, and people don't like see that. Like, we work that way. What I'm starting to do to slow down is I looked at all the boards I was on and I said, which ones am I doing an injustice to? So I took myself off 3, because I felt like I myself had said yes, and I committed to them, and I did, and I mean very good, but the road to hell is paved with good intention. So I said, I'll help you find a replacement. I'm going to step off these boards, and I did that. Was one. The second thing that I did is I talked to another friend who's an artist, and I said, hey, why don't you paint? He says, because I'm busy serving everybody else. He goes, you want to paint with me? So yeah. So he says, I'm going to schedule you every Thursday to paint with me. You can't schedule nothing else. So from now on, starting in 3 weeks, every Thursday, you're not going to find JP, because he's going to be scheduled to paint with his friend. And that's that slowdown, and really trying to like re-hone in on what my vision is, because my mind goes a million out, I'm trying to do every avenue instead of like, okay, let's cut some of the fat off the meat and give some more pure, right? So the same advice I'm giving back to school, I have to take in my lifestyle. And that's what I'm trying to work on now. And I'm scheduling it and I'm doing it. I took a little quick trip to Denver with my son, and some other things I needed to take care of. But I took like 5 days, 6 days to just reset, so that we can do it, because the work we do, we get so involved because we love it with intention.
That's right. Santa Fe Youth. Touch on that for us. Just your perspective. So I know this is kind of your wheelhouse, JP.
Oh, this is what I love. Yeah. You have this array of youth, right? I have some youth that are working in Los Alamos right now, and I have a youth that had just committed suicide a couple of weeks ago, right? And you have this like long spectrum. And when you look at New Mexico and our statistics, being up there in DWI, being last on education, we're actually first or second in the nation right now for experimental drug use in teens, and from home, not from your friends, from home, right? Which was kind of crazy to me.
Like
that made me interesting. Like, damn, you found all that at home? Like, that's long systemic stuff, right? And so, when I'm not perfect, nobody perfect, but one of the good role models I had was Mary Louise Romero, right? Mary Louise, she's just been an angel, and she works with me with these kids, and she still works with the kids right now, but creating stuff specifically for them. I know that the teen center is one step. I also want to get back into civics. When I was a charter commissioner on the last one, because I'm on the charter commission now, we're tasked with a different thing. But one of the things I was trying to bring up was, why don't we do early voting anymore? Where did the civics go in the school? It's on a state issue right now to get it back in the school. But like, if we have 86% of the youth on this side of the city, and let's just say that the average person on the south side is working 2 jobs and hasn't fully educated their youth on civics, right? Just regular civics of how the government works, they're never going to vote. They're never going to think or dream or find roots in New Mexico. And that's what we really want, right? Is one day, Dave, in one part, our ego says, let's make a legacy, right? And the other part is like, one day you want somebody younger than you to come in and say, Dave, I can show you that I could take over Gloom. Let me take over, right? You want to pass that torch at some time. And I want a youth. I want a youth to be like, I could do that with you, JP. And I've had them come in and then they go off to college and do other stuff. And that's great. But setting spaces for youth and how we do it is instrumental, because if all they have is the teen center and partially boys and girls club, and we need more resources that focus on it. There was an article in the paper about, the unhoused youth that have been underserved, excuse me.
Right.
And that just goes back to a long term. When I was working at YouthWorks to watch some of the cases that came through, and people call them cases, right? No, I call them humans, man. To watch that kid, and I say, hey, why can't you go home, bro? He's, well, my mom doesn't have the tent ready and she's busy. And I'm like, I know that I'm coming home to my house. I know that I have my kids, my family, and my stuff. It hurts to watch that kid. And I only have them while I was there, right? YouthWorks, a great institution, was from 8 to 4. And those wraparound services that were missing for those youth, we call ourselves the city different, but we have a lot of the same problems as large cities. And if we don't learn to dance together to focus on these youth and do these preventive cares, we're doing a lot of after, right? Like after, we got a place to send them, we got a thing to do or stuff. The preventive, right? You have the county, they just bought that, I think it was $7 million building up by Sawmill across the street in Calle Medico.
Yep.
That is the teen mental health and wellness center that they're creating, right? Shout out to Chanel and them, because like the county to take it serious enough with the Youth to Rise. I sit on the Youth to Rise program, which we focus on the recidivism rate for youths that are in the systems, right, in juvenile systems, and measuring metrics, right? Is it a punitive measurement you're doing? Are we doing like when was the last good thing he did? Like if they did, let's say that they've committed a secondary. That's what recidivism is about. It's the second one that happened. So my question is, how many good things happened before they recommitted it? Was it 24 hours and they did it? Was it 6 months and he was having a bad day and his cousin died? Like we have to look at these things like case by case and piece by piece and make the judgment with the amount of information we have to serve these youth and their families. So like one thing I'll say about the city and the county on this program and other peers that are in it, team builders, all that stuff, Shay, my other friend, is really looking at the mental health and wellness of the whole family. Like, do moms need services? Does the dad need services? What are those relationships? Are there little brothers in it? Because the youth was what was referred over, right? But the youth is only as good as what's happening at home. So when you're looking at that, you're giving full services to all of them. The youth may get 2 hours of services to 5 hours, but that's not talking the 2 hours I spent with the mom, with the dad, with the brother, and the other thing. At the end, they have almost a 40-hour day. And we are starting to get there if we can create these programs early on, where the city, the county, and these other programs and 501Cs and mental health and wellness are working on one project with one kid at one time. Then we can pull it off and know like things aren't getting duplicated. Everybody has this standardized sheet. We're all talking about it. We're all meeting about this kid, this youth, and we're all pouring it into one space. We're making sure that we're getting spread evenly.
Yeah, absolutely. JP, I mean, you're just kind of making me reflect on, the Gloom, for example. Our games are free to the entire community. Because believe me, there was a time where we were thinking, well, could we do $10, $15 for a ticket, etc. Then we were like, well, maybe we just do free to the kids, Yep. And I was like, you know what? But we also got to make it free to the parents too, and the brothers and sisters for them to come in. Because you're exactly right. Like it's the whole family. It's the whole ecosystem that possibly needs services, needs all of these things.
And I think
it's really fascinating. Like, and I want, selfishly speaking now, and everybody wants this, but when people are walking into Gloom games, that they feel a part of community and a part of service, and that they feel whole. And just like tomorrow, like when kids are just having fun and just letting their hair down, so to speak, it's a couple of hours that they just go outside, be with their friends, and hang out, and then hit no stress, hanging out, and that's what Gloom games are too. Our fans is cheering on our team when they score a goal, and they get to yell at the other team. No stress, all fun, and then the game ends, and then you're kind of back into reality, for better or for worse.
Yeah, and that's what I want to hit on this. This is another thing that we need to think of. All of it's a form of prayer, whether you're Buddha, Jala, Christian, like everybody prays in their own way. I think community work itself is a prayer. It's a lifestyle, bro. Gloom is a lifestyle that you created. You live Gloom from when you wake up to when you go to bed while you're running your other stuff, right? Lee runs Garcia Tires, but he lives and breathes community, bro. Mm-hmm. Like when you look at it, it's a lifestyle, right? And the same. Bro, you're not making money off the average person. You're not. And I'm not either. I don't get paid to go do the event. I'm not making money. Yeah. So when we're talking about prayer, this is something I want to bring up. Is when you go into a space like that, it's the energy you carry. If Gloom makes you feel like family, act like family. Yeah. Act like family. And here's another thing. When we talk about money and we talk about donors, that's the hardest part about my job is, how do I find these donors to give us money, right? And it's like a tug of war. Some say yes right away. Some I have to be like, okay, how do we work through this to get to there, right? And I'm sure you have these same struggles. But the best nation I ever found was donation, right? So if donations come in, if you have that money and you want to give it to Gloom, or you want to give it to back to school, or you want to give it to somebody, give it. If that's what you have to bring to a prayer, don't make it hard for us to do what we're trying to do to community. And, I used to think that money and prayer were separate. No, if all they have to bring us the money, please bring it, because every dollar that you give to a Gloom puts another smile on a kid's face, bro. And I'm not doing it to be cheesy or to be comical. I know why I kept doing this. I threw one posada. My wife had me throw one with her, right? And we were working on it. It was our first one. And I remember standing in that gym, and this little girl, bro, don't even know her name, don't know her dad's name. He looked like he didn't have the money for a lot of things, and he was covered in plaster, bro. It was 8 o'clock at night, 8:30, and his little girl won that bike, bro. And she didn't know how to ride a bike, but the gym was packed. We had 2,800 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And seeing the community's clear space so she could learn to ride her bike with her dad, who got off work. He didn't even get home to shower, bro.
Yeah.
And for her to have that bike, I said, I'm in. Like, you bought my heart with that there, because you know what? That little girl will never forget. Like, my dad worked his tail off, came in, we got a bike, and I'd never had a bike, and I was part of community, and I had fun. And that's what they get at Zoom too. At like when we're on Zoom, when they're in Gloom games, you got flirt shirts flying over, little younger kids kicking the soccer ball upstairs. Nobody told them stop. Nobody said, hey, you can't do that at the game. I walk by, they're throwing me the ball, they're talking to me, giving me a hard time. They're youth, right? And they're like, hey, you're an old man, you can't do that, right? And they're giving me the hard time. But you made it where we can remember that kids have those spaces and that they could do. Going to a Gloom game is like going home. You had, you could have had fancy catering at the Gloom games. You had crock pots going, people out there, and yes, they're making their little bit of money. Okay, they did. Like, we can't do everything for free, right? Like, if I could give endless resources, great, but I'm not a billionaire. But that food was like my grandma's food, bro. I was like, okay, can you give me another one? Can you do this? So that events that you put together, like in general, the games that I go to, that I've been to, I've never seen them skip beat. I've seen the baby races in the middle of halftime. And I remember seeing, like, you have toddlers going in the middle of the game, and it like, you thought of the kids. You thought of that youth. Like, they're not your soccer player. Your average age of a soccer player is not that. Right. It was those moms being interconnected, those kids being interconnected. And so, like, hats off. If donors want to help, the best nation is donation. And you can always reach out to Gloom or reach out to the Latino Small Business Association, and that's another part that we have to talk about, is sustainability. Because when you talk about grants and things, when this current federal administration came in, right, lots of those grants to community got cut. And I'm not going to say whose or what's, I know. And we all know, whether you believe in that cause or not, they got cut. If the community doesn't have a pillar to go to, if they don't know that Dave is throwing a Gloom game, then they don't have hope. If they don't know that JP has a back to school, they lose hope. They're not turning to somebody else in the community, because they turn to somebody they trust in their community. If you're not funded and you can't function, we can't support our community, and it fractures us at the lower level of basic needs. You're a basic service need, a direct service need, bro. And so that's why I'm saying, private people, if you got that, give that.
Yeah. JP, thank you so much.
My brother, always a pleasure.
Yeah. I know you've probably got some things to do to prepare for tomorrow.
Oh, we're not stopping till about 12 tonight, and then I'll get up and we're going to go all the way till tomorrow night. Yeah. I don't leave till everybody's home safe.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, Gloom will be there. We'll have our canopy. We'll be there a little late, but we will be there.
It don't matter. As long as you come, you ain't late for dinner.
That's right. Yeah, we'll be there. JP, I think we covered a lot. Thank you so much. And we'll do a recap of your event as well too. And then, we just have to have more of these community conversations. You have so much insight that I want to make sure that our Gloom fans are tuning in and just listening and understanding the importance of just getting into the game. Don't be on the sidelines.
Yep.
There needs to be more people just moving and shaking and doing their own part. You know,
and we're all servicing the same thing. You're doing it through one way, and I'm doing it through another, and we have to work hand in hand.
Yep.
And that's what I'll leave us with is like, past the work we're doing in the community, you're my brother because I believe in the kind of man you are, the kind of man your father is. I know you're like, he is one of the institutionals that set the space for us to be able to do that work. So like a shout out to your father too, because to sit there and talk to that man of wisdom, I'm like, part of the reason why I'm doing this. And nobody really knows about your dad or these things. Like, he goes to the game, he's quiet, he's in the back, right? But he did his time as a community leader and serves our community, and he set the pace for you to be what you are, as others have done for me. So I hope that we find those youth to come help support and learn from you so that they can continue to give and I can teach what I know. It doesn't mean that we know everything. It means that we'll set the pace so that they can move forward and do it in their own style.
100%. Yeah. One thing, just going off my dad, I don't think we've ever talked about my dad on this podcast ever.
Today you do.
Yeah.
I want my hat.
Yeah. Well, we got the hat. I got the hat back here. I mean, and my mom included.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, my mom included, and even my brother. But just to give just a quick 1 minute with my dad is, I mean, my dad grew up literally on dirt floors, growing up, dirt, So when they say dirt poor, I mean, that was my dad, and my mom had like basic carpet, but my dad was dirt poor, dirt. And the stories that my parents have inspired my brother and I just to do our thing, like they put us to shame big time.
So we're at the 40 under 40, and I'll be fast. We're at the 40 under 40, and you're running around. You're running the event. This was when I received it a couple years back. No, I'm an old man now, but at that time I was 40. And anyways, I'm sitting there, and your dad's talking to me, right? And he tells me, I don't know what's up with him. He's only working half as hard as I did. And I'm thinking, damn, because I see Dave, I see you bust your hump to get it done. I bust my hump and I think like I'm doing a lot, and we're talking about workaholic, right? And then your dad's like, well, and he's giving you a compliment in a way, saying like he's proud of what you're doing, but he's also saying there can be more and better. Like it's a little bit of both, right? And what he set and like the hardships that they had to go through to set the pace for me and you to be where we are. Like to be honest, I have an easier playing ground coming out of federal prison with my mom's help. Like the institutional stuff she did, I have an easier access open because she already set some of the pace. Your dad had already set some of the pace for us to connect into things, and then we had to grow off that. Like you just had the door open and you had to run,
100%.
Salute to your family, bro.
Yeah, no, yours too. I met your mom. I went out to your house that one time, when we were just hanging out. But yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. And I think that's another thing, just knowing and having that grace and just being humble and just being like, well, like you got to continue to work hard. You got to do the right things. Yeah. Because you want to make your family proud. You don't have to answer to them, but you want to make them proud because they've set the tone.
Yeah.
And you want to keep it going. And they did the hard work for all the hard work, man. Like we're just kind of following into place.
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you.
I mean, speaking for my parents, I mean, they wrote the book and we're just kind of like glancing through some of the pages.
Yeah. And
they didn't have the pencil, the pen, none of that. They had to go find the book. They had to go through all of it.
And I'm just writing in their book with crayon, bro. That's what I feel like. You know what I mean? It's like, you're right. We don't have
using chat to read the book for us.
I hope that we can live up to what our parents had already set the bar as. That's why I do it. Not because I have to answer to them. Like, your dad is the kind of man that I would like to be when I'm at his age and in his space, and to stand with that, you have to be up to par to that.
Yep.
So either you're on the table or you're on the menu. So like, I want to be at the table with your dad, not on the menu.
For sure. Amen. JP, we'll have you back as always. Thank you so much.
Brother.
Have a great time tomorrow. We'll be there. And I'm glad I'm not running the event.
You got to relax.
Yeah.
Later, brother. Have a good night.
JP, thanks. Bye.